The Scripps Howard Foundation is proud to honor excellence in public service reporting with the Roy W. Howard Award. The winner? The New York Times investigative team for fatal flaws. For U.S. motorists, 2014 was the year of the recall. On average, there were 2 vehicle recall announcements a day. And by year's end, 60 million vehicles, 1 in 5 vehicles on the road, were declared defective by automakers, suppliers, and federal safety regulators. In fact, 8 of the world's largest automakers each recalled more U.S. vehicles in 2014 than they have on average since 1966, when data collection began. The rush to redemption was due in large part to a New York Times investigation that exposed an auto industry unwilling to disclose or repair defects they'd known about for years, even when those defects could be deadly. There was plenty of blame to go around. The newspaper's 10-month investigation revealed the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration ignored hundreds of complaints, some as early as 2003, about an ignition defect that caused General Motors cars to switch off and crash. GM had ignored the switch problem too, and it also resorted to technical service bulletins for other problems that merited more costly recalls. Meanwhile, Honda was concealing airbags that had been pitting passengers with metal fragments since 2004. The Times identified people who had died or suffered in crashes that could have been prevented, and through its reporting, helped free a Texas driver from a negligent homicide charge. Times reporting also led to congressional investigations, hefty fines for negligent automakers, and an industry commitment to improve its safety practices.
When you look at the kind of work it takes to find the truth, I think you're always impressed in the public service category.
This massive recall that unfortunately took a lot of lives and could have taken more if the New York Times hadn't taken it to the steps that they did.
It was just one of those New York Times pieces at its best. It brought together all the elements of a story that affected millions of people across the country.
Every story, every caption, every headline, every graphic was presented with such emotion. The writing conveyed a sense of urgency and importance.
Pamela Howard, Trustee Emerita of the Scripps Howard Foundation, presents the Roy W. Howard Award for Public Service Reporting and $10,000 to the New York Times investigative team. Accepting is Bill Vlasic.
Thank you. I want to thank, on behalf of the Times, the Foundation, not just for our award, but for all that you do to advance our profession and all your philanthropic activities. We're better off because of this foundation, and it's great to see all the work that's been recognized tonight. I also want to recognize a fantastic team at the Times involved in covering General Motors and Honda and Takata last year. Danielle Ivory and Hiroko Tabuchi, 2 of my colleagues who are here tonight, but also others back in the newsroom, Hillary Stout, Rebecca Ruiz, Rachel Abrams, Matt Wald, and our editors, Bob Getz and Dean Murphy, not to mention others who helped us in every way, shape, or form to tell what was a pretty extraordinary story about something that was very ordinary, your cars. We were as surprised as anyone to learn how many dangerous cars were on the road last year, and yet and today as well. How could this happen? Why did this happen? Where was it going? In the course of many months, we learned that the nation's largest auto company, General Motors, had known about serious defects in millions of their cars for as many as 10 years. Dozens of engineers and lawyers and product planners and investigators inside the company had known, yet either couldn't or wouldn't do anything about it. We later learned that airbags manufactured all over the world and were ending up in cars here in the United States that were not saving lives, but were in fact killing and injuring people. We learned that the federal government, awash in statistics about safety on the nation's highways, had either ignored, missed a considerable amount of evidence about these dangerous vehicles. And as the year progressed and the congressional hearings began and the Department of Justice became involved and states' attorney generals began looking into all these problems, our one goal at the Times, and I'm so proud of my newspaper because no matter where it is in the world, we always focus on the victims. No matter if it's in a car or a disease halfway around the world or in a war zone, we always kept our eye on the victims. Who are the victims here? Who may be the victims here in the future? There was an awful lot of rhetoric, an awful lot of explaining, and an awful lot of grandstanding that went on throughout the year in Detroit, in Congress, and elsewhere. But in the end, our goal was simple. Could we tell the American public if their car was safe? We all, I won't say we all, but many of us own cars. It's something we rely on. It's something we take for granted. And the disturbing reality is you cannot take them for granted. I think that the Times, like many other news organizations, tried to dig as deep as possible into this, and we succeeded on many fronts, but yet to this very day, including this week, more victims are being found among General Motors cars, and just the other day, the largest recall in American history was just doubled in size. I'm so proud that my newspaper thought it worth our time and effort, 24/7, number of people, to just come up with the best facts that we could to help people understand, is my car safe to drive? It was an extraordinary story, and it's still ongoing. We appreciate so much the interest and the comments of the judges, but even more so the thanks that we've received from victims, families, and people who are still pursuing some sort of justice for their lost loved ones because of the car that they drove. So on behalf of the paper and Rocco and Danielle, thank you very much.